Hello students, the tutorial for today is about must. Today we're going to analyze and identify the rules about when are going to use must or mustn't. Now we're going to identify 4 rules for must and also mustn't, which is included. Now, number 1, we use must for certainty. What is that supposed to mean? Now, certainty is when we are 100% sure about something. Okay? Now I'm going to give you the rules, and after that I'm going to give you some examples that you're going to use in order to study for the exams or the lessons. Number 2, we use must for necessity. For example, when we need something or we are about to ask something to someone else, we use must. Number 3, we use must also for strong recommendations. I'm sorry, I had a little mistake. For example, when we want to recommend something to someone else, for example, a friend or a relative, we also use must. Now, mustn't or must not, it is also very useful, but we also have one rule for mustn't, and the rule is that the number 4 is that we use mustn't for prohibition. So far so good. Now let's make a little review. 4 rules. Number 1, certainty, when we are 100% sure about the things that we are going to do or the things that we speak. The second one, necessity, for things that we need or for us something that we need. The third one, for strong recommendations, when we want to recommend something to someone else. And then the rule for mustn't. We use mustn't for something that is forbidden or for a prohibition. Okay? Now, please remember these rules when you have to study. Now I'm going to give you some examples in order to identify the proper rule. Certainty. For example, here we have a common exercise. Let's see. Now, here we have an example. Imagine that we have a sentence. Now, imagine that you go to a party and you're in a car with your friends, and then you ask about the address because you don't know where the party is. So, a person says, so the address is this, and you ask, are you sure? And you say, yes, this must be the address. So, when you're 100% sure that this one is the answer, you use must, like this. This must be the address, the right address, the correct address, for something that is correct, okay? Next one, the number 2. Remember the number 2? The number 2, it was a necessity. And now we have another example. Now, imagine that you have an exam, a difficult exam, an exam that is going to be very important in order to go to ninth grade. So, you have to say something like this. Students must pass an exam at school. So, that is a necessity. You need to pass an exam in order to go to the next level. And in this case, we also use must. Okay? Next one. The number 3. Also, we use must, remember, for strong recommendation. Now, imagine that you are sick, that you have an illness, and you need some medicine. So, you need a medicine, which is a necessity, but imagine that your mother or your father says, you must take medicine so you can get better. Must, in this case, we are using as a strong recommendation, but for you, if you are sick or you have an illness, it's a necessity. So we have a double reason to use must. Now, with mustn't, when something is forbidden or also is a prohibition, we use mustn't. Let me give you an example. Here we have, for example, imagine that you have a little sister, and her name is Jenny, and your parents say, Jenny, you must not play in the street. It's a prohibition. It's dangerous for you, Jenny. So that is the reason they give a strong recommendation, a prohibition, which is Jenny must not play in the street. So students, bottom line, here we have the 4 reasons, the 4 rules for must included mustn't. I repeat, certainty, necessity, strong recommendation, and the final one for mustn't is prohibition. Please, something important that I want you to remember, and I tell this all the classes, is the context. Remember the context, it's everything except for the answer. The context, the answer. This is the context and this is the context. So you have to analyze in order to recognize if the answer is must or mustn't. Analyze the context, remember the rules, and then you are going to be successful in your exam on your lesson. Thank you.